guys, I'm going to go over and a lot of people ask about O-rings. You know, there's so many different sizes of O-rings. These are my most used right here. And besides that, this size right here. Now, let's go over a few things. All depending on your lighter. I want you to see something here. You see, I want you to notice the difference here. Okay, now these are in order by the cord size. The cord size, CS, okay? CS is cord size. Okay, now this O-ring here has a 2.4 millimeter outer diameter. Okay, so from here to here is 2.4 inches. Now the 0.4 is the cord size. That's how thick the cord is. Okay. All right. And you can see here that this cord size is a little bit thicker. You can tell by looking. Then you go over here to 0.6. You go down here, you got 0.7. Then on this one here, you got the 0.8. All right. Now, these are probably the most used O-rings. Next to that, when you go up here, this is 0.8, 0.8. Now when you get to this here, you're looking at 1 millimeter. So 0.8 to 1.00. Alright, this 2.8 is a total outer diameter. These are popular too. So I got 1 by 1. When you get 1 by 1, this is going to be an outer diameter of 3 millimeter, because this here is 1 millimeter internal diameter. Well, let's see. I take a 1 millimeter internal diameter, a 1 millimeter cord. You're going to double that, and it's going to be a 3 millimeter OD. This is 2.8. Okay, plus the cord, so that's 4.8 OD. All the way up. Okay. This right here, this is 4 millimeter OD right here. Now these here I'll probably use. These here I mostly use for like filler valves, putting a new outer O-ring on a filler valve, you know, say something like that. You can stretch these a little bit too. They don't have to be exact on a filler valve. You can stretch them. All right, but these right here are my most popular. Now I'll put a link below, but you get on AliExpress and look this guy up here, this seal store right here. Now, what I do is when I buy these, you guys, when I'm working on a lighter, let me get some valves and stuff out. I want to show you exactly how I do this, because you guys don't ask me what size I need for your lighter. okay, because I've come across lighters that are the same, and just because I use one seal on one, you think it'll fit on the other, but guys, it doesn't always work out that way. Just so you'll know. Let me show you something here. Just like Colibri dual flames, for instance, they're not all equal, guys. Sometimes they change designs on certain parts of the valve, so I'll tell you what, probably the most important tool I got right here. Okay, the most important tool I got. I've had this one for years. I think I bought it for 20 bucks. And it's pretty well spot on. For $20, can't beat it. You can go out and spend $100 and get you one of them nice Japanese ones, but this one here's good enough. And when you take a lighter apart, say for instance, you need to measure a sponge. Say this is the little operating rod that goes inside. Okay. And you can tell right on here. Let me get my glasses on here. I got a sponge actually on the end of that still. An old sponge. Popped her off. Alright. So if you're needing to know the size of the sponge, you get on here and measure this. If it says 2.75 there, you might be able to get by with a 3. Alright, that's what I would do. Now when you take your valves apart, this is when you take your valves apart, guys, let's just say, for instance, let's just measure this. This is 4.41. And when you put your O-rings on here, a lot of times, let me take this apart here. Let me show you something here. You said, well, that's a 4.42. I would say a 4.5 millimeter O-ring would work good on that seal. You just want that seal to stick just past that a little bit. When you screw this inside your valve, you don't want to be so freaking tight you got to put a screwdriver on here. You want to be able to do it with your finger. But you don't want it light. You just want to, you got a good drag on it. You got a good resistance to it, If it's screwed in real easy, then your O-ring's not big enough. But the deal is, let me measure this. Let's see what the outer diameter of this is. Pretty close. 4.7, something like that. 4.72. This says 4.46. But but sometimes you got to measure in here too to see how thick. This is 1.27. That doesn't mean you have to have a 1.27 CS, because I can measure in between here. This is big enough. Okay, you got 3.3. See what I'm measuring here? .3, say 3.4. Okay, 4.4. So you got about a 1 millimeter, 4.4. I'm guessing on this one here, 4.4, 3.4. I'm guessing this in here is probably pretty close to 1 millimeter. Pretty close to 1 millimeter CS. So if I was guessing on this, 4.41, I'm going to guess a 4.5. I'm going to go to this one here, which has got my 1 millimeter, and I'm going to get a 1.5 right here, and you got to double that 1, so that's, hold on here, now 2.5, and I'll get this in here, right here. I'm going to try this one. See, it's about the same size as the other O-ring. Now, here's the deal. If this is tight, when you stick these in there and this is too tight, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to back down from the 1 millimeter CS, and you want to back down to an 8 CS. So what would I use here if I wanted to back down? I'm probably going to go with this right here. Probably going to go with this 4.3. The reason is that we'll try this. Let's just see what happens. Sometimes you gotta try them, guys. There's no blueprints out for these lighters now. See where we're at here. That looks like it's pretty good to me. I'm gonna put that back in. That might be it as well. Might be just a little, maybe, you have to just try different cord sizes. Now, if they both work, you use the one that's got more resistance when you turn it. You got two of these smaller ones on there and it's got the real good resistance, then use it. If the big one's got too much, then use the smaller one. But if the small one isn't enough and the bigger one's good, use it. Might even, I don't know if you have room for, two on there or not. But, there's no exact, there's really no exact O-ring. You just gotta, because these companies, they didn't use what you call common sizes. There's so many different sizes here. So that's why you've got to get the different sizes, like there's 2.6, there's 2.7, there's 3.4, and this is a 3mm OD, and I got a 4.2 OD, then I got some here that are, this is like a 7. You don't hardly ever use these. Actually, you could probably just stay away from them, but buy you different cord sizes. Get the cord sizes that you need, the different ones, then buy multiple sizes from the smallest on up. When it comes to doing a Colibri dual flame lighter, believe me, folks, you're gonna want something like this. .45 is 0.4. You're gonna want something this small. Before I couldn't work on them because I had to kind of reuse the old ones because I didn't find these. But you want to get this guy off of AliExpress. I've never ever ordered anything off of AliExpress that didn't not get here. And say for instance on this, when I'm just doing, most generally these are 1mm CS on these filler valves. What I do is I just measure the OD on it. That says 8. That says 8 OD. What I would get is, oh boy, I made a mess there and got them O-rings all over. Got them all over. Yeah, all right, but anyway, let me get these back in here. And dropped about 30 O-rings on my desk here, and I don't want to just throw them in my mixed batch. I want to get them back in place. Okay, like I said, this is 8 8mm OD. On these filler valves, you don't really want the O-ring itself going past the the outpass of this. You want to just be flush. So what I would use on this, if it was me, okay, 8. I'd probably use a 5 by 1. That's what I would use. Let me show you something here. These are usually just tore up. Sometimes they're so dried out they're hard to get off. They just come apart in piece. All right. Now, see how that fits on there? Perfect, right there. Usually use a 1mm cord size on these filler valves. Don't really want to go past this because, you know, sometimes the recess to get this in there is just the same diameter, a little bit bigger than the outer diameter of this. So if your O-ring gets past this, you probably won't be able to screw it in. And you could deform it, you know, trying to do it. Now, another thing, filler valves. They're going to vary, and you're not going to get, you know, like this here. These things vary so much. You see the indent on that. What I usually do is I just kind of, on these when I take them off, I'll just kind of measure the, oh, it's about 9.3, 9.2, almost a 1. You know, measure the OD is about like 4, around 4. And I'll measure the inside of this, 4.02. So, alright, I would probably go with this. Let's see, 4. I'll probably go back to here and try a 3.8 on this. But now I want to show you something here. Pay attention to this. You don't want these, see how that just kind of moves around there? You don't want these real tight around here because there's a hole right there. You see that little hole behind? There's a hole. So if you got this tight fitting around here, you'll have a hard time getting gas in it. And you don't want it, yeah, and you want a little bit of play on the inside too. And I usually stretch these too. Alright, I stretch them a little bit. Been compressed inside that for years, so then when I get done with the filler valve, what I'll do is I'll just get a can of butane out just to make sure the butane's going through there all right. You can see going through good. And once you put that back in your lighter, okay, I'll always get me a little eyedropper, and I'll put some, alcohol down in there to make sure there ain't no bubbles, micro bubbles or anything. Then I'll weigh them up with a scale on grams, and about 10 minutes after you fix them, let the gas equalize, then weigh them up and set them back and weigh them up for a couple days to make sure there ain't no leaks. Now you might get, after you fill it, if you weigh it too soon before it stabilizes, say for instance it weighs 75.4 grams, okay, now tomorrow it might weigh 75.3 if you weighed it too early. That's just kind of normal. But if it loses any more than that, the next day if it's 75.2, then you know you got a leak. All right. Anyway, I'm going to pause this.